What if the biggest hit of your career was a joke you begged them not to release? Randy Bachman walked away from a #1 smash and millionaire fame over principles, then lost everything building a new band with his brothers. When a stuttering prank track became their accidental #1, it triggered decades of betrayal, lawsuits over the name, rival tours, and a death in 2023 that sealed the silence forever. Stick around. This is how brotherhood became bad blood in Bachman-Turner Overdrive. In 1970, Randy Bachman stood at the absolute peak of rock and roll glory. As the guitarist and primary songwriter for the Guess Who, he'd just delivered American Woman to #1. Worldwide fame, sold-out arenas, millionaire status, everything a Canadian kid from Winnipeg could dream of achieving. Then he walked away from it all. The conflict wasn't musical, it was moral. Bachman, a strict member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, had watched his bandmates spiral deeper into the excess that defined early 70s rock. One guy drinking all the time, one guy smoking weed constantly, one guy shooting meth. Bachman drew a line. He told them the substance abuse had to stop. Their response was brutal and immediate. Get out of the band. Randy Bachman sacrificed millionaire status and the world's hottest band for integrity. For a man who valued keeping his word above everything, there was no other choice. But the price was devastating. He returned to Winnipeg broke, blacklisted by an industry that didn't forgive moral stands, and facing the terrifying prospect of starting over from absolute zero. Before we continue, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. The rebuilding began in 1971 with a band called Brave Belt. Randy brought in his former Guess Who, bandmate Chad Allen, and his younger brother Robbie on drums. The concept was simple: move away from hard rock toward a gentler country rock sound. The execution was a disaster. Their first album yielded one minor Canadian hit, Crazy Arms, Crazy Eyes, which peaked at a disappointing number 35. In the crucial US market, it didn't register at all. The financial toll was immediate and brutal. Between 1971 and 1972, the band lost approximately $150,000, nearly $1 million in today's money. Randy personally absorbed 60% of those losses, paying the other band members' salaries from his rapidly dwindling Guess Who royalties. He was bleeding money trying to sustain a band built around family and friends, watching his life savings evaporate while critics dismissed them as a has-been's failed comeback. This financial desperation became the pressure cooker that forged something entirely new. Randy could no longer afford to pursue nice country rock. Survival demanded something heavier, simpler, more commercially viable. The transition accelerated when Charles Frederick Turner, Fred to everyone who knew him, joined as bassist and vocalist. Turner's gruff, blue-collar vocal style and preference for loud, straightforward rock became the antidote to everything that had failed. They weren't trying to be stars anymore. They were just trying to survive.
So I would like you to know I need the quiet.
By 1973, Brave Belt had shed its soft rock identity and founding member, Chad Allen. With the addition of Tim Bachman on rhythm guitar and the powerful rhythm section of Fred Turner and Robbie Bachman, the band embraced a muscular, gear-driven sound. They needed a new name that captured this transformation. The answer came in a stroke of inspiration: Bachman-Turner Overdrive BTO, a name that evoked the power of the road and mechanical reliability. The rebrand was critical. It positioned them perfectly for an emerging American audience tired of the increasingly elaborate, decadent rock dominating the era. While other bands added orchestras and theatrical costumes, BTO stripped everything down to pure essence. No glam, no pretension, just work boots and Gibson guitars. They were the anti-glam band, focused on substance over style, and America's working class was hungry for exactly that. Their self-titled debut album in 1973 gained initial traction, charting at number 70 in the US and number 9 in Canada. The single Blue Collar reached number 21 in Canada, signaling their new focus on the laboring man. But it was the rapid follow-up, Bachman-Turner Overdrive 2, released in December 1973, that truly connected, pushing the band into the US Billboard Top 10 at number 4. This success was driven by two singles that cemented their image as the voice of the working class. The first was Let It Ride, released in January 1974. The song's origin story perfectly captured BTO's authentic connection to their audience. While touring with the Doobie Brothers, their bus got boxed in by several massive semi-trucks on the highway. Randy Bachman and Fred Turner, the two biggest guys in the band, confronted the truckers at a rest stop. The drivers brushed them off with casual advice: settle down and just let it ride. That phrase became a hit song. Let It Ride peaked at number 23 on the US Billboard Hot 100 by April 1974, marking BTO's first true top 40 success in America. The irony was perfect. Their breakthrough anthem was literally inspired by an encounter with the truck drivers who would become their core audience. The second anthem was even bigger. Taking Care of Business, also released in January 1974, began a slow, steady climb, peaking at number 12 that August. The single spent 20 weeks on the Billboard Hot 100, longer than any other BTO song. Its lyrics spoke directly to the 9-to-5 grind. If your train's on time, you can get to work by 9 and start your slaving job to get your pay. This wasn't poetry, it was documentation. The song's massive appeal confirmed that BTO's heavy, reliable sound aligned perfectly with the maturation of FM album-oriented rock radio. They became the soundtrack for mechanics, factory workers, and truckers across the American heartland. But success has a way of changing even the humblest band. In 1974, Bachman-Turner Overdrive became unstoppable. Their album, Not Fragile, confirmed their status as international arena rockers, surging to number 1 on the US Billboard chart. This victory was massive, the complete redemption arc from the Brave Belt failure. Throughout their peak years, the band would sell more than 3 million albums worldwide. But the album's greatest commercial success was born entirely from irony and family humor. You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet rocketed to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and charted in 20 countries. Yet Randy Bachman, the band's architect and perfectionist primary songwriter, never intended it for public consumption. The song started as a rough-cut work track, essentially an inside joke Randy recorded to tease his brother Gary, who had a stutter. Bachman deliberately added the stuttering vocal as the ultimate tease for his family. When BTO presented the polished Not Fragile album to Mercury Records VP Charlie Fach, Bachman insisted the crude track be scrapped, but the engineer played it anyway. Fach's response was immediate and definitive. "This is phenomenal. There's nothing like this on the radio. It's cute. It's unique. Let's go with it." Randy resisted, arguing it didn't fit the album's sound. He even re-recorded the vocals without the stutter. The label hated the polished version and mandated the release of the original, joke-laden, stuttering recording. The accidental success became the biggest hit of Randy's career. But this triumph planted the seeds of BTO's collapse. The label's intervention demonstrated that the most simplistic, unpolished track was what the market demanded. This validated Randy's growing fear that success had typecast them, forcing him to keep making the same music over and over. Any creative change felt too risky. The label's decision to overrule the band's primary creator eroded Randy's authority and intensified the friction building between his perfectionist ambition and the rest of the band's desire to stick to the simple, profitable formula. Behind the engine's roar, personal and creative friction was building between the Bachman brothers. The endless touring was grinding them down. The pressure to deliver hit after hit was suffocating, and the strain of family dynamics under fame was becoming unbearable. Randy's demanding nature, his need for perfection, his control over every creative decision was beginning to feel less like leadership and more like dictatorship to his younger brothers. They were on top of the world, but they were about to run out of gas. By the mid-70s, the engine of BTO was running dangerously hot. The friction between Randy Bachman's demanding creative vision and the rest of the band, who felt marginalized despite achieving massive success through Randy's efforts, became toxic. The end arrived after the release of Head On in 1975 and Freeways in 1977. Exhausted and spiritually dissatisfied with the demands of arena rock, Randy decided he was done. He announced he was stepping away from the chaos, seeking a simpler life. His motivation was family and stability. "I love country music. I have a wife and 3 kids. There are other ways I can continue," he said in 1977. The band continued without their primary songwriter, bringing in replacement Jim Clench and releasing Street Action in 1978 and Rock and Roll Nights in 1979. The need to rely heavily on outside songwriters underscored the creative hole Randy left behind. Without its architect, BTO's identity fractured and sales inevitably began to decline. The band's collapse was accelerated by massive shifts in the pop culture landscape. The mid to late 70s were defined by a stark musical dichotomy: the rise of slick commercial disco and the raw anti-establishment roar of punk rock. BTO's established heavy boogie was suddenly labeled dinosaur rock by critics and overshadowed by these new movements. The market that had once craved their authenticity was now demanding either danceability or rebellion. The band officially disbanded in 1980, but the professional dissolution led to something far more painful: a profound, permanent family rift. The younger brothers, specifically Robbie, deeply resented Randy's controlling nature and perceived condescension. In subsequent years, Robbie openly expressed his bitterness, alleging that Randy had belittled the other band members and even likened them to the fictional, inept rock group Spinal Tap. This personal humiliation transformed a business disagreement into deep, lasting familial betrayal. The relationship between the siblings was poisoned by the notion that the older, more successful brother viewed his family members less as creative partners and more as supporting musicians. This set the stage for decades of conflict over credit, money, and most bitterly, the band's name. What started as brotherhood became bad blood. The golden age of BTO was followed by a bitter, litigious aftermath. From the 80s onward, the band's history was characterized by sporadic, unsuccessful reunion attempts, starting in 1983, and the rise of competing BTO lineups. The name Bachman-Turner Overdrive, which had once symbolized brotherhood, devolved into a contentious trademark. Randy Bachman and his brother Robbie became locked in long-standing court battles over the rights to use the BTO name. The name, sustained by massive fan demand for classic hits, became a piece of intellectual property to be fought over, not a legacy to be shared. The emotional core of the split was so profound that Randy and Robbie rarely performed together publicly after the early 90s. For decades, they led rival BTO lineups, each claiming authenticity, each touring the nostalgia circuit separately. Glimpses of possible reconciliation appeared occasionally, brief moments when it seemed the brothers might finally heal the wounds, but they never materialized. The silence between them stretched across decades, heavy with regret and unspoken words. The story of the lost brotherhood reached its tragic definitive end in the early 2020s. On January 12, 2023, drummer and co-founder Robbie Bachman died at the age of 69. No cause of death was officially released. 3 months later, original rhythm guitarist Tim Bachman also passed away. Robbie's death provided a moment of profound, albeit late, emotional closure. After decades of silence and legal feuding, Randy Bachman publicly confirmed the passing, offering a poignant tribute. He described Robbie as an integral cog in our rock and roll machine, noting that the pounding beat behind BTO has joined Mom, Dad, and brother Gary on the other side. The tragedy of BTO's history is cemented by this final silence. Two brothers who had successfully built a multi-million-dollar empire and written some of the most enduring anthems of the 70s spent the second half of their lives locked in acrimonious legal battles over who owned the shared past. Robbie's passing ensured that the long-hoped-for, genuine reconciliation between the founding brothers would never come to pass. The story was now defined by pride, litigation, and the regret of unresolved brotherhood. And just like that, the working-class heroes clocked out for good. Despite the internal conflicts, the music of Bachman-Turner Overdrive proved far more resilient than the band itself. The signature songs, simple, driving, and universally relatable, transcended the internal pain and external music trends that killed many of their peers. BTO's songs remain integral to the fabric of classic rock radio today. Let It Ride, You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet, Taking Care of Business, Hey You, and Roll On Down the Highway still receive regular airplay. Their commercial utility is unmatched. The music's direct, hard-driving rhythm ensures its frequent use in commercials, films, and as sports anthems. Taking Care of Business, in particular, has become a multi-generational anthem, the sound of American determination and working-class pride. The endurance of the music ultimately forced the classic lineup to acknowledge their shared history. On March 29, 2014, the Not Fragile lineup, Randy, Fred Turner, Robbie, and Blair Thornton, reunited for the first time since 1991 to mark Bachman-Turner Overdrive's induction into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame. During the ceremony, they performed their most enduring working man anthem, Taking Care of Business. This momentary truce, necessitated by the demands of the institution and the relentless loyalty of the fans, affectionately known as the Gearheads, demonstrated that the artistic, collaborative legacy was ultimately stronger than the years of individual bitterness. As Randy Bachman noted, their genre is now defined as classic rock, a lasting category like blues or jazz. They never looked like rock stars, but they played like every man's dream. Bachman-Turner Overdrive proved that authenticity trumps pretension, that the working man's anthem matters more than critics' praise. But their story reminds us that success tests loyalty, that pride breaks brotherhood, and that sometimes the greatest triumphs carry the heaviest costs. The engines have stopped, the brothers never reconciled, but the music still works over time, echoing in every bar and highway across America. What's your memory of BTO? Drop it in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories from rock's golden era.